Hello and welcome to Universal Heritage Television Niger. It is yet another package of our breakfast show, Daybreak Niger. My guest today is Comrade Uche Chigemezu. He is the Imo State Chairman of the Nigerian Labour Congress. He is also the State Chairman of Nigerian Civil Service Union in Imo State. My name is Afam Echi, your host. Please remember to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube platform. We are going to take him through some contemporary labor issues. Just recently, there was Workers' Day. May 1st was celebrated globally as the Workers' Day. He's going to talk to us about the Workers' Day, as well as the some questions on some workers' complaint, especially here in Imo State. Comrade Chigemezu, you are welcome to our program.
Thank you very much, and wish my viewers a happy Workers' Day.
Thank you so much. Sir, you just celebrated the Workers' Day, and all over the world, Imo State is not an exception. Now, can you give us a brief insight into the meaning and significance of the Workers' Day?
Thank you very much. Like the host have said, my name is Comrade Uche Chigemezu. I'm the State Chairperson of Nigerian Labour Congress and also the State Chairman of Nigerian Civil Service Union. That's the oldest union we have in Nigeria. It was founded in 1912. Yeah. The Workers' Day, like everybody is very much aware, it's a Christmas day. That's what we Christians do. It's a Christmas day for every Nigerian worker. And it's celebrated globally and internationally because that day, a significant thing happened. The essence of how we celebrated the Workers' Day is because of the incident that happened at Chicago on the massacre of the workers who were demanding for their right in the United States. And that day, the international community recognized it as a day that those workers who laid their life, who were asking for the betterment of the working condition, were killed. And why it's so significant in Nigeria is that if you go through your history, in 1949, there was Valley killing in Enugu. Yeah. Yes. And if you watch very well, most of workers from Imo State were all victims as a result of that incident. So that is why it's very significant here in Imo State. And anytime the May 1st is being celebrated, we have mixed feelings because our colleagues laid their life as a result of our betterment, and they laid the condition where today some of us we are benefiting. So that is why it's very significant for every Nigerian worker, both the private and public, should put hands together and make that day a very memorable one. So I think for this year, it's a good one, and I thank workers of Imo State, I thank workers of Nigeria who participated in that celebration.
Okay. Now, in the light of this celebration, because what you now said signifies that workers had some freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. In the light of this freedom, to what extent will you describe the welfare condition of the average laborer in Nigeria?
Well, I think that's a slogan we used to say in labor movement, that the struggle continues. Yeah. Every worker in Nigeria, yes, we might not be having it so good, but I'm sure that we are struggling to make sure that our working condition is bettered. And I know if you check all around, there are some states that might be saying, as a result of the relationship we have with the government, they have no issue. And there are some states you hear every day they are complaining. But as far as labor or labor leadership is concerned, that is the essence of us standing because they have given us their mandate to now defend and discuss their issues as far as employer and employer relationship is concerned. So for every worker in Nigeria, their freedom is what they have subjected to the leadership of organized labor, and that which we are using to defend their interest. So I believe they have trust and they have confidence that they will not be cheated as far as the relationship between employer and employer is concerned.
Okay. During the workers, something significant happened. The federal government awarded a 35% increase in salary. And promptly, the NLC authorities right there in Abuja rejected it, turned it down, and kept insisting on 615,000 minimum wage. Given the fact that even under the present dispensation, not many governments are keeping faith with the current minimum wage, how realistic do you think the demand for 615,000 is?
Okay, thank you very much. I think one thing I'm sure of, and I believe that the reason why the national leadership of NLC, organized labor, is insisting on what they have presented to the federal government is because checking from the past incidents, they have to see reason for them to agree and insist on that demand. Yes, we heard yesterday that the federal government have made a proposal of 35% increment, and it was turned down. Negotiation on minimum wage is something you sit on the round table. It's not salary award. You can hear most of the government are very busy proclaiming or pronouncing some thousands of naira just to see how best they can win the interest of Nigerian worker. Yes, it's very good because every worker is one of the persons who have been working out to make sure that that government is still existing. There's no government that you see in this world that is existing without the help of an average worker. So on that note, it was that why I believe that's the reason why the labor leadership in Abuja decided to say no, we are turning that request down. And they proposed 615,000. Ab initio, if you can recollect, what we're demanding was 770 something. And because we have checked from the feeding of every average Nigerian worker of 6, you can say that you can, with 30,000, you can't buy, you can't go to market today and feed one person in 1 week, talking of for 1 month. So I think they have checked around because they asked every zone, every state to make a proposal of what it will take them, make sure that every of their member can go home and have a living wage. So for federal government to come and wake up in the morning and say they want to pay 35%, I don't know where they're coming from. It means that they are not ready to take care of every Nigerian worker. I think if you listen very well, the national leadership have given an ultimatum till the end of this month that if that is not implemented, that we're going to the toes. Probably that's what the federal government wants. So they can't be playing with the interests of and the welfare of Nigerian worker, which we have said no to. So I believe it's not, but for every person who thinks that the 615 is not realistic, it is. In the whole world, check. Nigeria is the only country that paid least minimum wage. Go and check. In the whole world, yes, go and check. Nigeria is the least. So go and check. So for we to demand for 615 and everybody is shouting, and I want to tell you, if you pay an average Nigerian worker 615,000 every month, go back. At the end of every month, you see that it might not be enough to take care of at least a familyhood of 6. But that is our proposal. I know that at the end of the day, going to end up on a round table, and where the leadership of organized labor will see reasons to see whether they will come down or they will stick on what they have said. They are all human beings. All of us are into the labor market, and we know what to feed today, what it means. And remember that the federal government, at the inception of this new administration of His Excellency, removed the fuel subsidy. And the assurance is that every Nigerian worker will benefit. So I don't know why they are still saying that things are difficult when they have removed the fuel subsidy, which they said is a conduct pipe in which corruptions have been conducted. So we are still waiting.
Okay, now there's something you said. All this while, many people thought negotiations have been going on.
Yes.
But from your comment, it looked like the federal government just made the pronouncement.
Yes.
Without, like you said, minimum wage is usually negotiated, not pronounced.
Yes.
So what has Labour been doing with the federal government? All this while there have been threats here and there, you give a warning strike, you go back. So what has been happening? Whenever you're dealing with the government, you have to be very careful and think the kind of labor leadership we have now is not the leadership you can hit your hand on the table and you go. Remember that most of us who are labor leaders have joined the executive. So that which we think is a trick that we are using to push down the government. Yes. Some of us have joined the executive and now they will still look for a way to puncture those ideas. So but I think we have resolved that the best
is on a roundtable negotiation. So I think they have been seriously engaging the federal government. Remember, several times we have called for warning strike, demonstrations and protests. These are measures we are using to draw the attention of Nigerian government, to tell them that Nigerian workers are not going to leave this pressure and hunger that is banding them hard to go just like that. So that's the way we have, I think they have been making every effort to bring the attention of government, bring them to a round table for us to have a negotiation and a final decision to that effect. So we are still waiting. We have a proactive leadership as far as the organized labor Abuja, and you know that the president of NLC is from Imo State and is grounded as well as labor leadership is concerned. So he has the onions, and I know at the end of those negotiations he's going to come out top among all demands that we've been expecting from government.
Okay, I wish you well in the negotiation.
Thank you very much.
Now let me take you to an issue. Sometime last year, for the greater part of last year, you had Congress, both at the national and state level. We are at loggerheads with the Imo State government. You know, the conflict attracted nationwide attention. And we got to know that maybe there was an interest group that intervened to bring peace. Now, to what extent have those issues in conflict been resolved?
Okay, thank you. One, I think what happened last year, if you may ask me, I will suggest I will leave it for last year because we are now in a new era. But, however, there's a disagreement, actually, misinformation between the national leadership and the Imo State government. And that brought about most back and front to that effect. But thank God, at the end of the day, there was interventions, there are some discussions, and today I'm assuring you that both the government, the labor leadership here in Imo State, and national leadership of our brother, Comrade Joe Ajero, we have come to terms and come to understanding, and all those gray areas have been resolved. And I believe at this moment, everybody are on the same page, and we are good to go to defend the interests of workers.
Okay. When you say all the gray areas have been resolved, because I do remember some of the agitations centered on not meeting workers' demands in terms of remuneration, people that were being owed arrears, the pension and the gratuity, and the leave allowances and so many other things put together. Now, the governor has gone ahead to promise a 40,000 minimum wage. Is it being implemented now?
Yes, I think to start with, first, the major gray areas that brought about that disagreement was on the issue of those who were claiming that they have not been paid their salaries.
For years?
For years, yeah. In labor movement, there are some certain things you don't act based on rumor.
Okay.
As labor leadership, I am part of that leadership as at then. And I know there was an issue of automation which we raised the issue with the government, and they told us the reason why the automation should be. And then we also checked that even the federal government introduced the IPPRS, so that they wanted to use it to check fraud. That if you don't see reason to that effect, it means that those allegations that workers are fraudulent are true. So we said, okay, let's try it. But on the course of doing that, we came to understand that some workers were not actually verified. Some as a result of their own making, some as a result of the assignment that was given to those who were asked to come and do that. So that back and forth brought a lot of confusion. I think as a result of the discussion we have and then the reconciliation, everybody now understands. And the government have agreed that anyone that is verified to be a true worker of Imo, and that person will be killed in. And that's what I've been doing. If you listen to my address yesterday, there are some who have not been killed in actually, and I've talked to the governor. He assured me yesterday that those ones should be forwarded immediately and they will pay them, with their arrears. On the issue of the pension, yes, for over how many years? I think pension was paid last year in 2006. Gratuities.
Yeah, gratuities.
The gratuities are paid at last 2006.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. Yeah. So we have to engage the government again. Without missing words, anywhere the government is doing well, you must commend them. Yeah. It's not that we are speaking or trying to defend the government, but the fact remains that if you engage a government that is very reasonable, and they have to listen to your plea and so listen to it and act. We pleaded with the governor, and he said for the past how many years, close to how many years today, that gratuities have not been paid in Imo. And he assured us that he's going to pay. As at yesterday, almost over 3,000 pensioners have gotten their gratuities. 100%.
Over 3,000.
Over 3,000
pensioners.
Pensioners in Imo State. As I'm talking to you, I have 1 or 2, 3 that are close to me. In fact, in the morning, I didn't know. Before they are the one that wake me up and said, please, we should thank the governor of Imo State that they have gotten their gratuity 100%. As I yesterday at the Hero Square and the NDBC Carlo Square, the pensioners were there in thousands, thanking the governor for paying the gratuities. I think that's for the first of its kind. So we must thank him because that alone will resuscitate the life of these dying pensioners. So we want to thank him and thank him very, very much for that gesture. On the issues of welfare workers, I think he has been doing his best, which we are very happy about, and we are thanking him. Yesterday we thank him for all the provisions and all the acceptances as our request, which he has agreed to do. There are some certain things, yes, I know, we have not gotten. No government is too perfect, but the government that is giving you attention should be commended. So that's just how it is in Imo here. So we want to commend the governor. He has been doing well. And I know that some other areas we needed to sort out things with him. He has assured us yesterday that we should bring it up in writing and he's going to attend to it.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, we've been reading very recently that the gratuities are going to be paid.
Yes.
And we are happy it is coming from you.
Yes, I'm confirming that.
That the government is working its talk.
Yes. Yeah. And the good thing about it is that, like he told us yesterday when he was addressing Imo workers, that he did not borrow. He had been making some savings for the past 4 years to the tune of over 10 billion. Yeah. So that is an encouragement. I think we're happy about that. And we'll encourage him to do more. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there is these comments that we receive from labor commentators and labor analysts to the effect that when you put the civil service and the private sector side by side, the public sector and the private sector side by side, they tend to believe that the average civil servant is very lazy, you know, and and the impression about civil service these are people who go to work irregularly. You know, productivity is not measured. It is anything goes. You know, and many people claim that this is the reason politicians play with civil servants, and they don't take them serious. They just use them and dump them, and it is quite different from the private sector, where people are held accountable for their performance. You know, people are rewarded according to their performance. Now, this has happened over time, you know, and in a case where people are demanding to be paid for jobs they are not doing in the civil service. You are the chairman of the Nigerian Civil Service Union, and some of these things are verifiable. Go to the secretariat as early as, you know, as late as 12 o'clock. Some people have not come to office. You know, and when you go there, you see them that are trading, they're doing one thing or the other. And if you look at the entire office, it's very, very disgusting. So, as the chairman of the civil service union, how do you respond to this?
Well, I would say that anybody who is making such an allegation probably did not do his findings very well. No Nigerian worker, no Imo State worker is a lazy person. If you want to get intellectuals, if you want to look for committed workers coming to the civil service.
You are talking of commitment.
Yes. No, you can't find any, in as much as yes.
I talk about punctuality.
Punctuality, yes, of course.
Civil service.
I want to tell you, challenge me on this. I'm standing to defend, and not that I'm making a defense that maybe I'm defending the wrong thing. Okay. In Imo State today, as early as 7 o'clock, the rules says that by 8 o'clock you should be in your office.
Okay.
If you go to offices at the secretariat by 8 o'clock, I want to challenge you. Try it tomorrow. You will see workers of Imo State sitting on their table, ready to do their work.
As early as
8 o'clock. Go there. And the good thing about it is this. Probably as a result of this fuel increment and difficulties in movement, the state government, want to also thank him, provided a free bus to workers, and that makes it easier for them. As early as 7 o'clock, the buses move around, workers are willing and ready to join the bus, get to the office by 8 o'clock, go to their tables and their seat, you see them there doing their work already. Most of them too might have assignment that will take them outside their office. And you don't expect him to come to the office and go back again and start doing that. Maybe if you have a job that will take you outside your office, most of them, I want to tell you, what they do is to get ready for it. The previous day, they are coming to work, they will go and do that assignment and come back. Maybe that's what the person is saying, that they normally come to work late. It's not true. So that allegation, maybe the person didn't do his verification, find it very well. Workers are not lazy. That's the truth. Yeah. And the truth is this: for one to have agreed to commit his life for a government, to work for a government for 35 years of service or 60 years of age, I wonder what else anybody who's making that analysis is expecting the person to do. Because every 35 years of your life is committed to make sure that even the private sector, whom we assume that are workaholic, whose job cannot be totally guaranteed, can be compared with the public service, where the job runs and they are very willing at any point in time to make the government work fine. Government everywhere in the world, the workers are the pivot in which every government succeed. So, and public service is not a business center. Okay. What we do in the public service is more or less free services. But for those of them in the private sector, they are conscious of how much they gain every month. So that's why you see them, they can put their neck, they can put their head, they can put their blood to make sure that they make ends meet. But in the public service, it's structured that you don't bring something that is not part of the system into the public service. Okay. So that's just the difference. So for anybody who is in the private sector, they do their thing because the ends of whatever they are doing in the private sector is to make sure they're capitalists. And that's the truth. Okay. So that's why if you like an agency like Imo State Water Corporation, what they do is to make sure that they do the declaration of water, give water to the citizens on a subsidized rate. Okay. But if it's somebody who has a borehole, of course, he's interested in making sure that his money gets to him. Whether you are dying or you are not dying, it's not his business. Yeah,
there's you said something now very striking. You said in the private sector they do business.
That's what they do.
Okay, in the public sector they don't do business. What about the rate of obtaining services? Because people in the private sector interface with people in the public sector. Like if I come to do a registration of a business or to do something, the rate of the turnaround time to obtain a service from the public sector, you know what it is like. Most things are killed there. People get frustrated, and yet
no. The truth is this: the public civil service is bureaucratic. If a mail comes to my table, and then I was expected to act on it, I will act on it. But you see, maybe when the mails will come and there is many, those of them from the public or private sector will want to get immediate attention. Yes. Maybe your mail came or your letter was in my table, and because they don't have patience, they want that to be done immediately. And you see, they're the ones that are even corrupting the civil servant. They will begin to give tips and say, "Please attend to my own first," and abandon the remaining. Yeah. So, and that is very, very wrong. I've encouraged my colleagues and my colleagues in the public service to be very conscious and do the things the way it's supposed to be. If a letter was supposed to be sent out in 20 minutes, send the letter out in 20 minutes. Okay. If the letter was supposed to send out in 30 minutes, send it in 30, if it's in 5 minutes. If it's 1 minute, do it. No matter who's involved. Because, that was the assessment. When you come from the private sector and you came into the public service and you see that they take time to do whatever they are doing and you want to get an immediate attention, you begin to do an extraordinary thing. And when the person complies, it becomes that we are lazy, that there's a lot of bribery, there's a lot of corruption and all that. So
this I picked this word corruption from you.
So that's the truth.
The civil service is synonymous with corruption. I didn't say so. I had it from.
That's the presumption of a lot of people.
But there are examples. Examples abound. Now people believe that the reason that, in fact, that there is no justification for civil servants to complain. A lot of opinions hold that they are the engine of corruption, that they aid this political class to perpetrate corruption, and yet they turn around to suffer it, and rather than take steps to stop it or blow the whistle, they keep quiet and they fritter and loot our resources. There is no corruption that goes on from any politician that do not go through a civil servant. Now, you discover that to some extent that is very, very correct. Are you going to disagree with that?
I want to totally disagree with that. Now that's the truth, and the truth must be told.
Yes.
For anybody who claims that the civil servants are corrupt,
Yes.
to the extent of aiding the politicians,
Yes.
in their corrupt businesses. Well, I want to challenge the person because it seems that the person also may be talking from experience. Probably is a politician and has induced a lot of workers to do his bid. But if that is not so...
No, let me ask you, if you are challenging this, so the processing of transaction, who does it?
No, it is not... It's not.
What process does
now,
it?
Let me tell you one thing.
Yes.
In the public service, you must obey an instruction.
Obey an instruction.
That's all.
Right or wrong? Whether it is right or wrong?
No, that's one thing in the public service. We call it a downward communication or upward communication.
Okay.
If there's a communication from the up on a certain instruction, as a public servant, as a civil servant, and you know it's wrong, what you need to do is to write back to your superior and say, this is the procedure. He has the right to overrule you.
Okay.
If your superior says, go ahead with what you are doing and overrule, of course, that's an instruction. You must obey. And now that's what I want to call your attention to this. When you accuse the civil servants that are corrupt, remember that when a government is no longer existing and you won't get an information, who do you go to? It is the civil servants who will give you the information of what happened and they are going to do it. When you want to say that civil servants are corrupt, come and ask them a question about any politician who has worked under them and left the service. Ask them, they will give you.
Okay.
That's what they do. So when they obey the instruction that was given to them, of course, they are bound to obey, because when you give an instruction and you don't obey the instruction, there's some consequences might follow. And the person who want to protect his job and then all that. So that just may be the reason why everybody is saying that the civil servants are corrupt. They are not. They are most sincere people you can ever work with.
Well, let me believe you.
Like that.
But let me give you a practical example of something that approximates to corruption.
Okay.
Now, somebody who was sitting like you as a state chairman of Labour Congress in this state, worked with one of the past governors, I think Okorocha.
Okay.
And that was at the time civil servant salary were cut by 15 or 20%, as the case may be. Now, this state chairman was confronted at a point in time. I think I had to even query him. He denied flatly. He denied and defended and tried as much as. But today, this same person is now a card-carrying member of the ruling of Progressive Congress here in this state. So how do you think he can be exempted from all those corrupt tendencies?
Well, that's an allegation, because as far as Okorocha administration is concerned, everybody who stays in Imo should know that His Excellency is a man who doesn't follow due process. In fact, he said he's always in a hurry.
Yes.
And don't make me say to say that. That is his words. Two, if there's any leadership of Labour in Nigeria that have fought a government, it is Labour leadership in Imo State. If you can check very well from your record, in 2015 and 2016, I know that Okorocha woke up in the morning and said he have sacked 6,011 workers of Imo State. And it was the same leadership of Labour in Imo that said no, that those workers must be returned. And that was done. Now, I know there was an agreement and was part of that leadership then, though as a junior officer in the Labour movement. But I was really part of the whole process. I was the chairman planning committee for that action that happened in 2016. Now, there was an understanding between the government and Labour that the government will use 70% of the total income of revenue to the state to pay the workers. And they use the remaining 30 for their capital project. That was, I have the document, it was signed in black and white. When the actions were called off, the governor the following month started paying 70%. And then we started asking, he said that what have gotten cannot be able to take up on that agreement. And that becomes a very serious issue until his administration elapsed. I am not against anyone who maybe have started his tenure and decided to join in politics. That's the personal interest. I don't judge people by that action. If you can remember, the third NLC president, Adams Oshomole was a national president of NLC, later become the governor of Edo State, later become the chairman of APC, and today is a senator. Yeah. So that is their career they want to follow. But, you know, joining the APC, for me, does not really mean that probably he should change the interests of workers as at then. I don't know the person you're referring to, but if what I'm thinking or the person I'm thinking was exactly the person you're referring to, I think we're all part in this state. There's a lot of misinterpretations in the system then, but I believe that every labor leader would do his best. The problem we're having with government, I want to be very sincere to you, is that when you're pursuing one matter, in the course of trying to resolve that one, another one will come. You abandon the one you are pursuing and then started addressing the one that is before you. So that's just the issues that we are facing here. But I believe God, we are not having much issues here at this moment. To be honest, I want to be sincere and frank in this one. Any issue.
Since when? Since your assumption as the...
I just assumed the office as the NLC in just less than how many weeks now. Okay. Yes, but I'm the state chairman of Nigerian Civil Service Union, the oldest union. I've been here. That's my second tenure. An office. I have stayed over 6 years. So as a state chairman of Nigerian Civil, I was once an auditor of NLC. I was once ex official of NLC. I also.
So we ask you for NLC money.
How I wish we have the money. So I think we are pushing.
All of those take off that.
Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah. Before I let you go, let me ask this one more question. Now, given the series of fighting over payments of wages and have you not thought it fit? I mean, NLC, you know, to adopt most things we copy it from the so-called advanced nations.
Yes.
The wage system where people are remunerated according to performance. You know, I mentioned that they say there is no productivity in the civil service.
Yes.
So because through that process, don't you think people's performance efforts can be measured and they'll be rewarded accordingly?
I agree.
And that will save this issue of salary has been paid, salary has not been paid.
You know the issue we're having in Nigeria, like in those countries I'm talking about, the center take care of every worker in that country. And that's why they're able to do a reform so that you can work for 3 hours here, go to another place and work for another 4 hours, and you must be committed. But here in Nigeria, it is the way it's structured. So I think if that method will be adopted, it is something we sit on a round table and agree, so that you don't bring in the methodology of how NEPA and the EDDC came around, and some workers were laid off, and then you still go back to the same method. So that's the things we need to sit down as labor and government, employer and employer, and discuss and know how best that can be functional. I think if it will be better for the workforce, the leadership will convince us. I will say, okay, let's go with that.
Yeah, you can take it to your research and
no, that will be done. That will be done. That will be done.
Okay, so this is where we wrap up the agreement, the discussion. Thank you, Comrade Chigemezu Uche, for honoring our program.
Thank you very much. I want to say also the Happy Workers' Day celebration to my colleagues and brothers who are workers, both from the public sector and from the private sector, and my friends from the Heritage TV. I want also to thank you for this great opportunity to address our people through this medium, and we'll continue to partner.
Thank you, sir.
You are part of the leadership of Labour in Imo, and we'll be working together to make sure that we pass the true message to our colleagues. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. At least we got to know now that the governor has paid over 3,000
sure.
Which has been a very thorny issue.
I'm telling you, and he assured us, and that he will continue until every retiree got his last dime, including those that are deceased. In fact, as of yesterday, he said that the issues he's having now is from the records that is available. There are some deceased families of retirees who could not be able to trace their records. He said some of them were writing one hospital, and when you get there, they can't be able to. And even there was no next of kin in that. So I think I told him yesterday we're going to sit down to trace the families of these ones and make sure that whatever that is their entitlement gets to them. So that's we give him kudos for that. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Vias, this is where we draw the curtain, and we have been hearing Comrade Uche Chigemezu say that minimum wage is something you negotiate. You don't just make a pronouncement. And he also made us to know that Nigeria is the country with the least minimum wage globally. And on a very delighting mood, he made us also know that the governor has graciously paid 3,000 persons their gratuity. And he also tried to defend his workers, saying Imo workers our civil servants are not lazy, they are punctual, and they are very productive. And above all, we say they are not corrupt. On this note, we say we continue to stick around with Universal Heritage Television Nigeria. My name again is Afam H. Please remember to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube platform.